Thank you for listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, where we discuss the latest and greatest news in the world of sports. I am Alex.
And I'm Ben.
And we are back today with a recap of the Stanley Cup final game, a little bit of last night's NBA Finals, and some television news to get into.
Definitely.
How was your weekend, Ben?
I had a very good weekend. I haven't been getting much sleep. I've been waking up pretty much 5:30, the crack of dawn for... Well, I do it a lot because of work, but I'm on the weekends, mainly not. But I have been doing it to watch the Euro 2016 games, which are going on in France. So
yeah,
every day, like 5:30. So I'm just waking up early.
And you're enjoying watching it and everything? It's good?
Absolutely. It's definitely worth the
lack of
sleep. Definitely worth it.
It's been some good games so far.
There has been, which we will discuss a little later in the Golden State Media Concepts soccer podcast.
Yeah, we sure will. But did you happen to watch the Penguins Sharks Stanley Cup final game?
Yes, I did. That would be Sunday night, was game number 6. I watched it.
Yeah, what did you think at the end of this game? Of course, the Penguins won 3-1 in favor and clinched the Stanley Cup final win. Sidney Crosby, winner of the ever wonderful, I guess you could say. I guess you're always out there looking for the Conn Smythe Trophy, which is the playoff MVP.
Yeah, he had 19 points in 24 games as the Conn Smythe 2016 winner. It's his first Conn Smythe. When they won the Stanley Cup 7 years ago, he did not win it. So.
No, he did not. Excuse me. So, very competitive game for the most part. What did you see in this game 6?
Well, I feel like it's sort of been a tale of the whole series. The Penguins' defense really stood out. And especially in this game here, it was interesting because the Penguins took the lead in the first period. Then the Sharks scored to even it, sort of gaining the momentum back. And then, bam, you go up to use the bathroom, get another beer, and then the Penguins have another goal and have the lead. And then the Sharks had to just pull their goalie, Martin Jones, right at the end there to try and find some way to get a tie there, go to overtime, and then they have an open net, and, Letang scores and ices the game for them. No pun intended there. You like how I did that? Ices the game.
That was good. I like that. Yeah, it was just more of the same, I feel like, with this game. Like, it was let's put it this way. The Sharks had a total of 3 shots on goal, I believe.
They were just getting out.
Excuse me.
The Penguins are just playing a lot more aggressive, just beating them to the loose pucks, putting more shots up on there.
And I'm sorry, I do mean, I meant to mention, I do mean a total of those shots on goal in the final period.
Yeah, the Sharks just weren't, getting shots on goal when the Penguins were. So.
Yes, and it was really just more of the same. Like, I felt like this entire Stanley Cup, they were always playing from behind, and first off, that's not what you want as a team in general. But yeah, I feel like the entire time they were playing from behind. They were being outplayed on the defense side of the puck by far. I feel like they were just getting, like, the only game that was any different was the first game they won, I feel like, and then the second game, obviously, too. Both those games were different in the sense they came out more physical, and then not to mention Game 5, they were just the better team. But
Game 5 was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Game 5 was great, and you're like, okay, maybe they turned the corner here, and then it turns back into what Game 1 and 2 were for them.
Yeah, the Sharks scored 2 goals within the first 3 minutes of Game 5, and then the Penguins come back and score 2 goals within 2 minutes. So within just 5 minutes of the game, it was already 2-2.
Yeah, and everybody thought, coming back into this game, okay, the Sharks have figured out a way to be more offensive.
We talked about it last week on the podcast. We didn't find any way the Sharks could win Game 5 in Pittsburgh, but yet they come there and they do it. Martin Jones really was the star of that game. He had 44 saves in that game.
Yeah. I think, personally, if they played that way, obviously they could have won. But it just returned to more of Game 1 and 2. They were out-possessed on the puck. The defense was just staggering for the Penguins. Turnovers again. Again, like I said the other time, the last game, leading into the last game, Matt Murray played amazingly. just like he had the entire World Cup. I'm sorry, not World Cup. The entire Stanley Cup. I thought he could have definitely won the Conn Smythe there, but they pretty much were out. They had more turnovers. They clearly lost the face-off battle, 35-19. They
have to do with Crosby as well.
Exactly.
Really the king of the face-offs this whole series.
Their shots on goal were, like I said, were so low in terms of like I said, the end of the game there. Outshot in that as well. They can't capitalize on power plays. And that's been a problem this entire Stanley Cup for them. Is they were one of the best in the league at capitalizing on power plays, and as were the Penguins at killing power plays. And one of those really showed out this entire Stanley Cup, and that was the Penguins defense. So it was, I'm sure it was frustrating to watch for the Sharks fans. They had 4 shots on goal in the first, 13. They actually had more in the second period, and then like I said, they only had 2 in the third, and that's really they were playing from behind the entire time. And if you look at it in that sense, 2 shots on goal while behind, that's not going to get it done. So disappointing for the Sharks fans. Very, very entertaining Stanley Cup, I should say. It was. I'm glad it wasn't just a blowout on either side. Like, and I tweeted the other day too. I said, it doesn't matter if you're a Sharks fan or a Penguins fan. And I said, personally, for me, this was the best goal-keeping Stanley Cup I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I remember that because I actually retweeted it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I have a friend. But it was just the one. But it was very, excuse me, it was very, very impressive on both sides of the ice for each goalie there, with Matt Murray and Martin Jones both playing very, very well.
Yeah, Matt Murray set tied the rookie record for postseason wins in a season with 15. He's only a rookie, and he's already won a Stanley Cup to his name, one of the stars of the series. Such an accomplishment for such a young guy.
Yeah, it was very impressive what he did in this postseason. And not to take anything away from Martin Jones either. I thought he played well. He really did in these games.
Yeah, I felt like the reason this series went to 6 games was mainly because of him. He really kept them in a lot of games.
He really did.
His performance in Game 5 was incredible.
His performance in Game 3 was just as good. And
the Penguins, to talk about their whole season here, they were really in a turmoil there. They didn't even, they fired their coach midway through. They bring in Mike Sullivan in middle December. They weren't even in the playoffs at that time. They turn it around, and they're Stanley Cup champs. They're world champs now. Yeah,
and like you said, first time since 2009, the Sharks, that wonderful Stanley Cup final, is going to have to elude them for one more year, or at least Stanley Cup trophy, I should say. I think
with the Sharks, though, obviously losing the Stanley Cup finals is never a good thing, but you have to look at this season as sort of encouraging. They finally got over the hump, and finally, when they weren't even the favorite to get out of the West, finally got into the Stanley Cup. It was their first time in franchise history there, so maybe there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I think it's still a good season for San Jose and for the Sharks.
But do you think a team like the Sharks that have so many veterans on their team?
Yeah, the window's definitely, the door's definitely closing.
That's the key there, and I think they have maybe 1 or 2 good years to jump at this before they lose these veteran, guys on their team, whether it be Pavelski or Thornton or any of these really, guys that have been there their entire careers. I think Marleau, like I said, Pavelski's been there, especially especially Thornton. I think they have some time left, but they need to capitalize on this, hopefully next season. Because, they were clearly a great team this season, but they were beaten by a better team.
Yeah, they were outmatched in this series. The Penguins were a better team.
I think so, too.
They showed that over the series. The defense, the goalkeeping, they were a better team.
Pretty handedly, yeah. And the defense was just lights out. And that's, when you make the Stanley Cup, it's like when you get to the Super Bowl, you played so well all year, you got to score points. And, you get to the Stanley Cup, you got to you got to do what you've done all year, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, unfortunately for the Sharks there, but the as we mentioned, the Penguins win their second Stanley Cup in 7 years now. Second with Sidney Crosby. Really, with the Conn Smythe, he's just adding lists to his accomplishments. He's also got a couple of Hart trophies, a couple of Olympic gold medals with Canada. So he's really solidifying himself as probably the best player in the world right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Over the last decade, I would say.
Yeah, most consistent.
Absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we have some NBA final news. So, unfortunately, that's all for soccer now. We've been covering soccer the last few weeks. I'm sorry, that's all for hockey now.
I was going to say, wait, what?
Sorry, I'm so interested in soccer right now. That's all for hockey. Hockey's done.
Hockey is over for the remaining summer now.
Yeah, we had so much to talk about in hockey, and hockey's done. So we'll get into basketball. For all we know, basketball could have been done too. Last night could have been the end.
But not the case.
But we'll get into that here in a minute at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
And we are back here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast alongside Alex. I am Ben.
You sure do love to dance to that commercial coming back in, don't you?
I love that little doot doot doot. It kind of reminds me of like a little EDM, little Calvin Harris, Tiesto, a little mix up there.
Okay, fair enough.
It's really nice.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so really quickly before we dive into game number 5 of the NBA Finals, which was last night, we're going to mention a little more hockey news. Gordie Howe did die over our last break there, between our last show. He was 88 years old. Gordie Howe finishes out with 801 goals, second all-time behind Gretzky. He was 4th in points at 1,850. Really a legendary career for the Red Wings. And rest in peace to Gordie Howe. He was a legend.
Yeah, condolences out to the family. Yeah, unfortunately, he was on the older side, so...
Yeah,
it's about that time.
He did live a long life, which is great. You don't want to see anyone die young. So.
Exactly, and he definitely lived it to the fullest, you could say.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to basketball.
Yeah, definitely. Last night was game number 6 between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. Actually, last night was game 5. I'm sorry.
Yes, game 5.
So we're going into game 6. I'm sorry, because the Cavaliers did end up winning on the road. They won the game 112-97. Really a historic night for the Cavaliers. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James both go for 41 points. It's the first time in NBA Finals history that a pair of teammates each scored over 40 points. So LeBron and Kyrie really showing up for the Cavs last night, Alex.
Excuse me. Yes, they did play great ball. The game was close throughout. The game was really close throughout, kind of going back and forth. Golden State didn't do enough to win, in my opinion. Didn't play enough defense on those two players specifically. I mean, if you look at it, those two guys had 82 points collectively. The rest of the lineup had 18. The starting lineup. I
saw a stat where between Kyrie and LeBron James, between scoring and assisting, they were involved in 97 of the Cavaliers' points, which was the exact amount the Warriors scored, 97. So LeBron and Kyrie were only not involved in 15 points in the whole game. So really, those two led the cavalry and dominated for the Cavs.
41 points for each of them. LeBron had 7 assists and Kyrie had 6.
LeBron really getting it done on the rebounding side, 16 boards.
And even though Tristan Thompson had a pretty down day there, 42 minutes, only 6 points, pretty awful at the free throw line, pretty awful from the field, he did have 15 rebounds.
And that's what he's there to do. He's there to grab rebounds, and the Warriors at one point there in the third quarter were going with a hack of Tristan, automatically fouling him, and he was not able to get the free throws going, which is, when you're talking about the intentional fouling rule, whether it be Shaq or DeAndre Jordan, Andre Drummond, whomever you want to say, it's sort of been getting debated back and forth. But, if they're in the game, I don't have a problem with it. Get him off the floor if you don't want him to get fouled.
Yeah, and then that you mentioned the big guys that are kind of there for rebounds. We see Andrew Bogut went down with a knee injury, pretty bad like a knee injury. He played 8 minutes, didn't score a single basket. He only had 3 rebounds, and then he got hurt. What do you make of that if he's not good to play next game?
I think that's a huge injury. He has reports of a sprained knee. He's going to go in for an MRI later today. We don't have any news on it quite yet. When I first saw it, I thought instantly he probably sprained it. Maybe he tore a ligament or two. But I saw there was no way possible he could come back in the game. I'd be surprised if he suits up for Game 6. And as you mentioned, he's not playing a whole lot of minutes there with only 8. But he is one of the few bigs that the Warriors actually do run. You know, maybe Varejao gets a few more minutes. Maybe they bring in Maurice Spates to do a little bit. He's more of an offensive guy, not really much of a rebounder. The loss of Draymond Green last night doesn't help either. He's really good on the defensive side and the rebounding side. So they really just, without Bogut, I think that's a huge loss because they're going to need his size. He's a good shot blocker. Without the threat of a shot blocker, the Cavaliers really, in that last third, fourth quarter, really didn't have any threats. So they're down low, and LeBron and Kyrie abused them.
Now, what did you see from Steph in this game? He had 25 points on 40 minutes playing, only 5 3-pointers, 4 for 4 on the free throw line, but he's 8 for 21 from the field. How did he play compared to the game before that?
I really thought Steph struggled last night. In game 4, he really showed up. He really silenced the critics because everyone was talking about how he had such a bad series. In Game 4, he finished with 38 points. He hit 7 threes. Last night, quite the difference there. As you mentioned, 8 for 21. He shot 5 of 14 from 3. I thought Curry really struggled, but I thought he was forcing everything last night.
I find that, too.
It seemed like he would look at Kyrie coming down and making a shot, and then he would say, "Okay, I need to go and answer. I need to make a shot myself." He would force up threes, and it's a little different for Curry because he has a harder time, especially when he goes to the basket because he's such a small guy.
I mean, it's funny too. I always say that he's a small guy compared to these other guys, but he's still huge.
Yeah, he's like
it's so fun. Yeah, he's still a big guy,
and he's not much of a muscular guy. So when he's going down low against people like LeBron, Tristan Thompson, Kevin Love, whomever, he's got to find a way to, attack where he's not just throwing up something crazy, and he didn't do that last night. And even when he was trying to shoot the 3, it just didn't look right. His form wasn't there. He was taking everything off balance. I thought he forced too much, and he really did not play in his element and his comfort level.
And then on the side, number 2, the other half of the Splash Brothers, Klay Thompson played 41 minutes, just one more. Tied for team high with Iguodala. He had 37 points on 11 from 20 from the field and 6 of 11 from 3-point. A little bit better of a night for him. 9 for 9 from the free throw line. Only 1 turnover. He had pretty decent amount of rebounds there with 3. How do you think he played?
Well, Klay in that first half was absolutely on fire. He finished out the first half with 26 points. Quite the contrary as well. LeBron, I think, had 26 in the first half as well. Or he either had 25 or 26.
Now, did you say Klay had 26 in the first half?
The first half.
And so then he comes back and he only scores 11 in the second half.
Yeah. So obviously the tale of two halves there for Thompson. But I feel like it was a tale of two halves for the whole game because going into halftime, the game was tied 61 apiece. So the Cavs really dominated that third quarter. They outscored the Warriors by 9, and then the fourth quarter outscored them by 6. So they were up by 1 point by as much as 11. They really dominated the game. The star for me, besides LeBron, I would say more of an impressive night to me was Kyrie Irving because he shot 17 of 24. He shot over 70% in the game.
Yeah, he had a great night.
He was doing it all over. Curry guarding him, couldn't do it. Klay Thompson guarding him, couldn't do it. The jump shot, the attacking, the off the dribble, he just had it all going last night. He's got 30-plus points in 3 games in a row now. He's really showing out that he is, an elite point guard in this league.
And so what do you think this means for the Warriors moving forward? Do you think it's a boost that they get Draymond back next game? Do you think it's a boost but also a loss there with Bogut probably more than likely going to miss this game?
Well, absolutely. Anytime you don't have a player like Draymond Green in the floor, it makes a huge difference. He's their best defender. He's really great with communication. He's an emotional leader. He's good at rebounding. He also can score, step out, hit the 3. He's an emotional guy. Unfortunately, he got suspended for this game after what happened Game 4. And you could say, maybe it wasn't worthy of a suspension. The little incident there with LeBron James, it ended up, after review, getting a flagrant foul, which put him over the limit for for flagrant fouls, so he got suspended for Game 5. So you could say, okay, Draymond, maybe you shouldn't have got suspended, but also you shouldn't have been in that position. You got to be you got to be smarter than that. You got to, the ball's in your court. You were the one who created that with LeBron. Mm-hmm. They were really jawing back and forth there. LeBron ended up getting a flagrant as well, but LeBron doesn't have, the build up like Draymond Green does. So maybe he got away with one with Steven Adams, and now it's come back to cost him because with LeBron, he didn't get away with it as well. So the boost of Draymond Green absolutely helps. I'm not going to say that, the Warriors lost because Draymond Green, because I don't think that's not an excuse.
Okay.
The Warriors were tied at halftime without Draymond Green. It's the second half that they really blew it. Their defense was not there, and that obviously can help with Draymond Green being there. So we'll have to see as it goes back to Game 6. But all the momentum swings to the Caps' favor, I think.
We're going to take one last break here, and when we come back, I'm going to ask Ben here what the Warriors need to do to walk out of Game 6 with a win and what the Cavaliers need to do. And then, of course, we'll give you our predictions on Thursday because that'll be the game. But we'll get into a little bit here more, and then we have our last segment of the day there for you. So we'll take one last quick break here at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, and we will be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
I'll say that was definitely more entertaining watching you dance to that than to the last one.
This one? Did I have a little more energy, a little more excitement to me this time?
Yeah, that was intense.
I try. So,
all right. So, let's start with what do the Cavaliers need to do to walk away with a win here in Game 6 on Thursday?
Well, I feel like for the Cavaliers, they really just need to look at this Game 5 film and do the exact same thing. LeBron was, for the first time in the series, in my opinion, actually being aggressive. He was taking the jump shot. Granted, he was hitting them, so obviously that gives you more of a boost. But he was being aggressive. This was the first time I saw LeBron James really say, okay, there's no way we're going to lose this game, and I'm going to be the reason why. He was being aggressive. He was attacking with, not looking to pass. He was attacking, looking to score. And then Kyrie obviously nailing the jump shots, attacking as well. I don't see him shooting 17 of 24 again. He had a great night. Unfortunately, I don't see him shooting 70% again. So maybe they need to get someone else to step up. And maybe you could say that person is Kevin Love. Where in the world has Kevin Love been? We mentioned it last week about how you would think the Cavaliers need to cut him loose. After watching Game 4 and Game 5, I don't see how Kevin Love belongs on this team. Last night, he plays 33 minutes. He shoots 1 of 5, 2 points, and has 3 rebounds.
I'm glad you finally agree with me on that.
Well, I'm not saying, by no means am I saying Kevin Love's a bad player. I still think he's a great player, but on this team,
not fit.
He's not a fit. Kevin Love needs to be the guy who touches the ball every time down the court like he was in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Here with Cleveland, it's not like that. It's LeBron and Kyrie's team, and Kevin Love's just more of a contributing factor. He's not, and he's making max money. There's no way he's gonna. I don't see there's any way he's on this team next year.
All right. On the flip side, what do you think the Warriors need to do to win this game?
Well, they're going to have Draymond Green back, as we mentioned. That's going to be a huge plus. We'll have to see what happens with Bogut. I don't see how he plays.
As of right now, the injury report says out.
Yeah.
So status out.
I don't see how he's healthy in a couple of days to play.
Yeah, it says as of today it was listed he was as out.
So I think that just means more small lineup for the Warriors, which is really their MO. It's what they're going to like to do. So you probably see Green playing the 5, Iguodala in there with Barnes, Curry, and Thompson. So Green's a big help, but they got to find a way to try and slow down Kyrie Irving because he's really, in my opinion, the catalyst of this team. Because when he's hitting his shots, that means you can't switch over to off people like J.R. Smith. You can't switch over off people like LeBron James. If he's hitting his shots like he was and he's being aggressive and not forcing anything, it's going to be great. They're going to be at home. I feel like they have a lot of momentum after that win last night. No one really picked them to win. So I feel like it's just status quo. LeBron, stay aggressive. Kyrie Irving, stay aggressive. I think they'll be all right. They have a good shot.
Yeah, as of right now, the Warriors are still favored in the line there. But I think if it goes to Game 7, there's no bet on my end here who's going to win that game.
Yeah, with Curry just needs to. He's not playing smart. Last night he did not play smart. All these shots are contested. All these shots are off balance. He's forcing. He wasn't letting the game come to him, which is really not Stephen Curry's game. He usually does like that. So maybe he can answer that back on the road. He had a great game 4 in Cleveland, 38 points, as we mentioned. He's going to have to play better. He's really only had one good game this whole series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I still want to say the Warriors are going to win game, but we'll make our predictions on Thursday.
Yeah, we'll wait on that. We'll wait on that.
All right, that's our last news today of sports. We have actually some TV news for you today.
It's involving sports, though.
Mm-hmm. Yes. On Saturday, part 1 of the 30 for 30 event, never been done in this format before either. 30 for 30 is part 5, so 5 parts.
Great. These documentaries on ESPN,
I love 30 for 30.
Unbelievable, all of them.
But capitalizing on the relit flame and fame of O.J. Simpson from this earlier year, amazing show I watched, the People vs. O.J. Simpson on FX, was now the 5-part 30 for 30 documentary, O.J. Made in America. Started on Saturday. You can watch the rerun tonight on ESPN before part 2 premieres.
You can probably find it on the internet as well. If you
Yeah, exactly. Part 3 is tomorrow, and then you can watch part 4 on Friday and part 5 on Saturday. And all of the, like, if you say you miss, I'm recording all of these, but so, like, obviously say you miss part 1 before part 2 today is replayed before part 3 tomorrow. Part 2 is replayed before part 5. Before part 4, excuse me. You get a replay of part 3 and so on and so forth. Did you watch the first episode?
I haven't been able to watch it yet.
Okay.
My timing has been kind of off, but I do have it, queued up, ready to go. As you mentioned, I'm going to watch all these as well. You're recording them. I'll probably find some way to watch them. They're being recorded in my house as well, so maybe when I'll have some time, I'll just sit down and maybe binge watch it.
Yeah.
So I haven't been able to watch.
Well, they're about an hour and a half. They're long.
Yeah, they're long. I know they're long. So, but yeah, I'm definitely excited for it because we're more of a younger generation. We weren't really.
We were young when this happened.
We were not old enough to realize what was going on while O.J. Simpson was going through his ranks with USC.
I would say if you weren't even 16 when all of the real bad stuff happened with O.J., if you weren't even in your kind of early middle school years, you weren't really relevant of what was going on.
Yeah, so we don't know about this murder trial. We don't know about the car chase. We just really know.
We just get the second. Yeah, we get the. My mom told me she was on maternity leave during. And she watched it on the news and all that, like the whole thing. So that was interesting to get her recount of it. But the first episode was good. Yeah, this has been very well reviewed. People love it. But
it was at Sundance Film Festival.
Yeah, it was great. Played in full too. But it was very good. The first episode was really kind of giving you the idea of the times when OJ was at USC, what was kind of going on in the world in terms of criminal justice, violence. Really the way the world was shaped out at that time with segregation and so on and so forth. So this was establishing what OJ was before the 90s. This is what OJ was when he was becoming OJ, when he was becoming the Juice, when he was becoming the guy at USC and eventually with the Bills. So it was very interesting. Obviously, I really loved this story. Like I said, I watched every episode of the FX series, The People vs. O.J. Simpson. I loved it.
Cuba Gooding Jr. was OJ, right?
Yeah, had a lot of great people in it. David Schwimmer from Friends played Rob Kardashian. John Travolta played Robert Shapiro. I've off the top of my head, I don't recall the name of the guy that played Johnny Cochran, but he played amazingly well. A lot of good. Sarah Paulson, who I like from American Horror Story, was Marsha Clark. Sorry,
yeah. And she was part of the lead, the prosecution.
And Chris Darden, the guy that played him as well, very good actor. They got a lot of really good look-alike actors in this. A lot of great acting in that, and so that was a really good show. And a lot of people are capitalizing on that now, revisited fame. And it's just been, it won festivals, it won Sundance, it won the Hot Docs, it won the Tribeca Film Festival. Very, good film festivals. Overall, it's 7 hours plus. It's 8 hours something, I think.
Yeah, I'm really excited to watch it. Like you mentioned, 5 parts. It's going to conclude at the end of the week. I really want to watch it because we can sort of learn more of a in-depth look at this because we weren't around there. This was mainly one of the first high-profile, camera in a courtroom media influential court cases around.
They really mean the case of the century.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of compare it to more on a little bit of a different scale, but you can, with Aaron Hernandez here, the last couple of years, the former tight end for the Patriots, who was on court. He was on trial for murder, which he was convicted of guilty. He has another one coming up here on a double murder case. So I kind of compare it to that in sort of a high-profile media coverage football player, but this on
time is 100.
Different. This is a much different circumstances compared to Hernandez's. So
and OJ times 100, and that I'm sorry, Hernandez times 100 was what OJ really was, and then you add into it also the time and the structure of the world at that time. It just made for a lot of things, must-watch TV in a sense,
Absolutely, this was. As we mentioned, one of the first times that the media was actually influential in a court case. The camera was in the... everyone was watching.
Every second.
As you mentioned, must-see TV, which nowadays a lot of high-profile cases are like that as well. Maybe like George Zimmerman a few years ago, the Hernandez one. So this
with the social media world that we live in.
This sort of set the tone for that.
Yeah, I think so too. But I'm very excited to watch it. Like we said, part 2's tonight. Part 3 would be tomorrow, Wednesday, June 15th. Part 4 skips Thursday because of the finals, goes to Part 4 on Friday, June 17th, finishing up here Part 5 on June 18th. And like I said, you can find all of the prior episodes just before the start of the new episode on ESPN. If of course, you can't connect with ESPN, I'm sure you can find these online. I am definitely going to be watching.
I will as well. I'm really excited to watch it. I want to watch all 5 parts. It's going to be really interesting. It's critically acclaimed, reviewed. It's going to be amazing. So.
I'm with you, man. But we're all done for today. Join us on Thursday. We'll be talking about our predictions for Game 6 of the NBA Finals. Who thought it would get to Game 6? I'd say people thought sweep. People thought 5.
7,
people thought 7.
After the first 2 games, we mentioned it. A lot of different little different thoughts there. So,
but we'll be updating you on that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about the OJ stuff. I don't know if we'll get in depth, but I'll probably talk about how episode 2 and 3 were, and of course any news in the sports world in between now and then. The U.S. Open's getting started right now, so I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit.
The world of golf. I don't have her name here. Maybe I can look it up really quick. But over the weekend for the women's game, I believe an 18-year-old won the tournament that was over the weekend here for.
I think I know you're talking about the young girl from. I know you're talking about. Yeah, we'll see. We'll race to it. See who gets it first.
I don't know. I think I'm going to win here.
Probably?
Yeah, so here, I have it up here. So here we have it. Here, it's Brooke Henderson.
Brooke Henderson, all right. Well, congratulations to Brooke Henderson.
Lydia Ko with a birdie on the final hole of a
Lydia Ko is a very good golfer.
Yeah, only 18 years old. She's Canadian. She's already ranked 4th in the world at 18 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. I mean, she's 18. What am I doing with my life? She's already at the top of her game. She hasn't even hit her potential yet.
Well, there you go, man. You got some moves you need to make.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the wrong field.
Maybe. So join us Thursday, and we'll talk about Ben's newly started professional golf career. As always, at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, I'm Alex.
And I am Ben.
And you guys can find us on GSMC _ sports at Twitter. You can find us on GSMCpodcast.com and all of our wonderful shows on the network, and on Facebook at the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. We will see you guys on Thursday. Don't go getting in any trouble now. And
don't become like OJ.
Please. And we will see you guys later.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.